Shalom. This week's Sedrat is Sedrat Nitzavim. This is a thought-provoking statement. A person's relationship with God is the most important relationship in their life. A person's relationship with God is more important than their relationship with their spouse, with their children, and with their parents. God is the rock in all people's lives. No matter how volatile life becomes, God's values remain unchanging, allowing people the stability to return to familiar ground in their lives. A relationship with God provides the opportunity to connect to something higher and greater than humankind. In this week's Torah portion, we learn two different approaches to connect to God. The lesson is taught within a warning to the Jewish people about those who sin, and it begins when hearing the warnings, they may imagine a special immunity, thinking, I shall be safe, though I follow my own willful heart, to their utter ruin. God's anger and passion will rage against them till every sanction recorded in this book comes down upon them. And later generations will ask, it will be the children who succeed you and the foreigners who come from distant lands and see the plagues and diseases that God has inflicted upon the land. Why did God do this to the land? What caused God's anger? They will be told, because they forsook the covenant that God, their ancestors, made with them upon freeing them from the land of Egypt. They turned to the service of other gods and worshiped them, gods whom they had not known and whom God had not given to them. This last verse highlights two ways we approach God. Rashi explained the phrase, gods whom they had not known, referred to gods in whom they had never experienced any divine power. Ramban explained the second phrase, in whom God had not given to them, to mean gods that they knew not as gods. That is to say, they worship gods whom they never knew to act with any divine power. God did not allot these gods to them, meaning that God did not designate them as lords over Israel in the same way God placed them over the other nations. Ramban's comment requires some explanation. Our rabbis used figurative imagery to explain complex concepts. When discussing how God related to the other nations of the world, the rabbis said each was given its own ruling angel. The Jewish people, in contrast, were ruled directly by God. The point of using the imagery of the ruling angel was to teach that only the Jewish people were ruled directly by God. Ramban's comment about Jews not being allotted lords like other nations was referring to the Jewish people not being ruled as other nations are ruled. Our two phrases teach that there are two major paths to connect to God, and those paths open up to more detailed paths to greater connections to God. The two paths represent two different approaches. First, there's the human to God approach, represented by us seeing divine power. And then there's the God to human approach, being ruled directly by God. Both of these are legitimate ways to relate to God, and both can lead to a strong relationship with God. As a person develops a desire to connect with God, they should examine both approaches and see which approach speaks to them more. It is crucial that every human being develop a relationship with God. A person's relationship with God adds meaning to their life by giving them a consistent set of values that's unchanging. It allows them to relate to the universe in a way based in reality, since relating to the world without including God leaves out the most important factor of the world. Doing so is foolish. People benefit from God because it helps them understand the world and see how God relates to them. Shabbat Shalom.